Catherine and Sadhana Devi and I, actually it's Jyotish's fault, because we were going to have this event up at the meditation retreat around the campfire up there in the old fire pit, and that didn't work out. And so Jyotish said, why don't you just get the old slideshow and play that? Well, 2 weeks later, we couldn't find the slideshow, so we've been putting together a new slideshow. And so these are the years 1967, when Swamiji bought the initial land up at the meditation retreat, and up until the fire. So we won't talk about the fire, but next year we'll talk a lot about the fire. So anyway, these are the years. And I do want to apologize a little bit. I only could work with the photographs that I had and that were sent to me. So some of the founding members may not be in the slideshow, and I'm hoping that if you have pictures, you'll send them to us and we can upgrade it. Jyotish has a plan to put on the internet the history of Ananda with pictures and stories. And so if you have anything that you love and would like to send in, we can start creating this, and we can keep adding to it as people have things to share. So, but I wanted to apologize for that because everyone isn't in it. Also, there's a little section that has people's faces in it, and again, I couldn't find all the founding members, but most of them are there. Also, the only other thing is that many times this show, when I thought it was finished, crashed, and I lost it 3 times. And then it was God's will. You know, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. It's not that long. It's only about 17 minutes, but it's 190 slides. So, you know, it's a lot. But in one of the crashes, all the pictures became very tiny, and I couldn't resurrect all of them. I couldn't even find all of them again. But there's only about 3 that are real blurry, and that's because they're blown up from a very tiny something or other. And all the techies at Ananda that I asked couldn't figure it out either. So there's some that are a little bit blurry, but it seemed really important to have them, so I stuck them in there. So anyway, enjoy. So in the cosmos, Master was waiting to come to bless us all, to bless Ananda, to start World Brotherhood colonies. And the person that picked that up, of course, was Swami Kriyananda. This is a picture of him in college. Later on, he became a monk, and he, as we all know, heard Master's words. And he came to this area, I think the meditation retreat. And I love this photo because it's Swamiji. Let me stop that. It's Swamiji. When I feel like, to me, it's when he first saw the land, and he could feel, he said he felt the Guru's blessings in the land. And so he bought the land, and so we started Ananda Meditation Retreat, 1967. In the beginning, there were people that, I don't know how to turn this off, guys, but, okay. So there were people that came. I love this picture because this woman looks like she's set up for life. I don't know who it is, but there were people that came that did not stay at Ananda, but definitely got it started. This picture is, I'm pretty sure, because it says 1967, is the picture of the dome that blew away and ended up in the trees that Swamiji talks about. So after that incident, Swamiji had done enough of building on his own and hired other people to come help. He was also going to San Francisco every weekend and doing benefits for the Ananda Meditation Retreat. I love this one more than a lecture, more than a concert, an experience. Swami Kriyananda. And this, we can't exactly figure out where this is, but obviously it's an interview of some kind, and he's playing the tambura. And then down on the floor, you'll see a picture of his album, which probably just got released, called Say Yes to Life. And I believe this is the first or second album that he put out, and it contains many of the Joy Singers songs at that time. I do not know. These are some of the things that we found in the archives, timeless teachings. I love this picture of Swamiji telling about his writings. these are some of the men, I believe, that came and helped us at this time to build the meditation retreat. You can see the date there, September 1968. So from 67 till 70, this is in 1970, we built these domes. There was the kitchen dome, the dining room, common dome, and the temple. Satya was one of the first people that came, along with Seva and Jyotish, beautiful soul, and here he is helping to build. It's either firewood or a temple. I don't know which. But this is the beginning of probably the temple. It might be the common dome. I'm not sure. But you can see all the different triangles that they used to put it together. And then here they are finished. Way out, you can see the diggins in the background. And that's the beginning of guests coming, of people building homes, and it becoming a viable place. This picture I like because it shows how remote it is and very different from what it is today, even though it's remote. It's much more developed. The guest is God was something we used all the time. We still do. We still have that sign, I believe. And the guest is God. This was the office dome that was built. It's the inside, I hope, because that's what I think it is. It makes me realize we have to do a lot more with our books up there. This is not exactly there, but it's the energy of receiving guests. Kalyani here. And Vairagi came 74 or 5. She came and stayed for her whole life. I believe this is Kali Lodge, which is now Happiness, the beginning of building things for the guests. Little cabins. This was it's one of the little cabins. And I believe there were 5 or 6 of these, and there's only one left. So the cabins were very sweet. I don't have a picture of the tents that I talked about this morning, but the cabins are very nice. And this is going into the kitchen, Narada, Nitai. So these are 2 pictures of the inside of the kitchen, where many, many of us worked. We did a lot of events here. That was the first summer Vidura and I came. And as many of you first summers at Ananda, you work in the kitchen. It's a beautiful picture of Lakshmi, again in the kitchen. And Seva, the classic picture of selfless service. Seva means service. And here's service in another way. And they're out now. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're adorable. So we started the day with meditation, and we had strolling kirtans, and we would chant. We'd go to all the cabins and chant and wake people up. It was a beautiful way. This is Vijay in the front, and Sudarshan's there, the 3rd one, and bring them to the temple. So this is Shraddha, we call her Old Shraddha, because there's another one now. She was here for many years. Swamiji in the old days would always sit on that raised bed and talk to us. Taught us how to chant. The first summer I was here, I remember him singing Door of My Heart over and over again. And Vijay recording on reel-to-reel tape. Swamiji coming out of the dome. This may have been when he came back from India, I'm not sure. And the monks, Santosh, Keshava, Swamiji, and Haridas. Santosh and Anandi and Satya and Nagarjuna, and I think that's Mira in the back. And here's Vidura doing the temple dome with his mastic. This was a trade he was in before, so he's very good at it. And this is in the Temple of Leaves, or close by there. This is the common dome. Swamiji wearing his turban and bare-chested. It's a very common scene, and if you didn't like logs or the ground, it was really hard. He taught right there where the Temple of Leaves is now, right at that same tree. A sweet picture of everyone. Nalini and Devi and Kalyani. And the crowds kept getting bigger. Swamiji would teach. And I believe this is, I don't believe this is the old fire pit, but I may be mistaken, but this is it is the old fire pit, okay, and here it is the way it was then on logs. Now you get a flat bench to sit on. This is a little bit later, but it was so sweet of him doing this, I just included it. This is Swamiji's dome. It looks like it's just been completed. It's 1968. This next picture, Swamiji looks so happy, so pleased to see the vision becoming a reality. This is our Parvati's first house. This is at the meditation retreat, a trailer and an add-on. And this is Shiva on the left. Parvati came, I believe, came here with Shiva, and then there's Nick, who is married to Padma, who's on the right, and then Saraswati and Ganesha, and this is in Ganesha and Saraswati's home up there. I believe it's gratitude now. This is Nalini in her home, which no longer exists, up at the meditation retreat. And does anyone know whose house this is? Sadhana Devi told me, but I forgot. But it is, again, at the meditation retreat. And this is Devotion Cabin, if those of you who know the cabin now. This was Vijay and Mukti. Mukti was Vijay's first wife. She's there in the long brown hair. This is the common dome, and then a few pictures inside the common dome. I don't know if they're before the fire, but they're the only ones we have that I could find. So we had benches in a big circle, and everybody would sit around. This is Swamiji, Halloween. He's Babu. And Kirtani is a pirate. And this is Satya with his son's lion. I don't know how many times he brought them up there, a few times. Okay, now we have a little transition here. These are the people that owned the property before we did. I believe this was in 1940. And Jaya told me their names, but I don't think it's the Myers. It's some other, I can't remember. Does somebody remember? Sylvester's, I don't know. But they're, well, that's, oh yeah, that's the market in the background. That was their home. So this is looking from the old entrance where the trash is now, where the recycling is, looking at the market. You can see there's the market again. That was their home. And this is the way it looked then. So you see all the gates and all the fences and... This might have been a barn. I think that's a cow sticking its head out there, so I'm assuming it's a barn. And the distribution center where we would distribute vegetables. That's Jaya in the middle there, and Sanjaya, who Parvati was talking about this morning, helped with the opening of the market. This, I'm going to stop this here too, because this was the first entrance into the village, and that whole area where the cars are is where the recycling center is now. But that used to be the way we would come into the village. And then Banai's shop and the little mailroom is right there too. And here's another, as you're coming in from the right, you come in, there's the market. You can see the roads haven't been developed too much yet. And this is a picture going past the market on the right and the old barn, which doesn't exist anymore, and up the road. That was the only road that went up. This was a picture from a magazine that came out on an article about Ananda in 1972, before it was a market. Yeah. Dirt. This is the article. I took the pictures off them. You'll see some of the other ones. Very, very positive. Oh, wait a minute. I have to read you this one. This is really great. It says, lest you, he's talking about the businesses, how we had to have businesses, and he says, lest you doubt, be advised that their customers include such San Francisco stores as Macy's, City of Paris, Montgomery Ward, and the Emporium. And later you'll be amazed when you see how rustic they look. But maybe it was charming, I'm sure it was. This is inside the market before it was a market. This, somebody, maybe David was saying they were trying to find anything that was warm. So they were getting warm inside. There's another picture of it. You can see it's still not developed, landscaped outside. And then this picture is a little bit later. You can see we've got rocks now, a little grass, a fence. So this is inside the market. This is Parvati and Sanjaya and a guest. And then this is outside on the porch. That's Sanjaya and he's sorting fruit. This is a typical picture outside the market on the back. Somebody playing the cello. I love this picture for some reason. It's really the way it was. This playing volleyball without a net. This is, I think there's a rope in there somewhere, but I'm not sure. There's Satya and Lakshmi and Sadhana Devi and their two little babies there on the left in front of the shop there. This is the old barn. This is where I did the wheel I was talking about with the macrame. We had a lot of businesses in there actually, more than just that. These are the kids playing on this is the main street. And there's the picture I was telling you, my kids. Dwayne and Melissa. He was about 11. This is the macrame shop and the cathedral building, it was called, and later used for the macrame shop and probably later used for other things. And later on we put plastic on it. It's a picture of the farm. And again, a little bit later, the market gets an awning, gets a paint job. It's an old car there. And then this was interesting because we had a whole garden right there on the side where there is none now. And so again, the distribution center, and we started, the gardens went out that way a few acres. And there's Hanal teaching Devi and Shivani and others about gardening. Hanal, there he is with Shivani. Wonderful soul. Sadhana Devi. Making a giant compost pile. Thank you. And I don't know if this is the strawberry days, but at some point, Swami wanted everyone to go out and pick strawberries before they started working. So that's why you see them in dresses. And I think that's Shraddha's little red Volkswagen. Shraddha was a dear nun. She was one of the nuns, and my daughter always said she was going to grow up and be a nun and drive a little red Volkswagen like Shraddha. So Hanal teaching class. We started classes and teaching other people. There's Hari Priya on the right and her husband, Shivani. Ananta in the greenhouse. And then we acquired, a couple years later, we acquired the land next door. And this land we always called the New Farm. And this was the famous or infamous apprentice village that you hear about. So the picture's being taken from Tylerfoot Road. So there was always this white picket fence, and you come in. That was an entrance to get into that part of the land, but it wasn't the main entrance at that point to the community.
It is now, isn't it? Isn't that the
Yeah, that it is now, but at that point it wasn't. It was two separate entrances. And Prakash was one of the main teachers for the apprentice program. Always had a top knot. And again, this is a picture of going into this part of the land. And then there was teepees. And we had to scrape poles and make teepee poles. And Sadhana Devi spent a lot of time making the skins and poles and creating a way for people to have teepees. And it was quite a beautiful sight on the land. I don't know how many there ever were. There could have been as many as 10. This is a picture of building the first dairy barn. And it's a beautiful image of working together. Nakula was the dairyman, and these are some of his cows. We had to take that barn down when it started crumbling, but it served well. Swamiji got us starting to sing, and we learned the songs, and he formed the first group, which is the Gandharvas. This is the very first Gandharvas that we had, very first singing group. There's Vijay and Kumari, Girija, Regina, don't know her last name, the old Lakshman, the first Lakshman. Oh, is he here? Oh, yeah, he was here yesterday. Maitri, Hari Prasad, Kalyani, Mukti again, the first Mukti, and Dinanath. And then a little bit later, more people, Haridas and Lakshmi, Seva, Arati joined. Then this one, Uma, Hridaya joined the Gandharvas. This is a picture that Parvati sent me, and she said she used to often take her harmonium out into the grounds and just play. This one's a wild one, I think. Shavani teaching people the harmonium. I don't know. They learned. Okay, Grant. Now, Grant was sort of famous. He had a auto shop. He was like the first Thomas. He had the auto shop, which is, I believe, now the thrift shop. In fact, Vidura's wedding ring's buried under that thrift shop. But I won't tell you that story now. But this is Grant, and I don't know, do you know what year he came? But early on, he came, and he would fix everybody's vehicles. He was absolutely essential to the moving on of Ananda and training, I'm sure, Ananta and Jaya and many others. Because not many of us knew much about vehicles. There's Jaya. He looks very happy, doesn't he?
What's that?
That's Ananta.
I was gonna guess.
And there he is again. And I don't know what happened, but it looked like a pipe burst.
He's still smiling.
Yep. And the building of publications. So this was really the first big building we had on the land that was worth anything. And this is the famous story of them not knowing how to put the roof on, and then this man appears out of nowhere. He says, I'm probably the only one in this country that knows how to do this. One of the miracles of Ananda. This is the staff. You can stop here if you want. I'll quickly go through at the top. We have Banai and Santosh. I can't see very well. There's Prahlad back there, and Keshava is Bhishma, and Satyavan, and Phil, and Asha. Anyway, you'll see Nalini and Jyotish, Kalyani, Seva, Padma, Devi, Anandi, Kumari, and Jyoti Priya. Jyotish in his office. See a picture of Ma there. I thought that was so sweet. Asha, do you see that stack of phone books there? That's how we found out about everything. Oh, this is the print shop. And this is in this building we're in right now. So the back, it went from all the way as you enter the building now, that whole foyer and a little bit into the building here was the print shop. And that's where I worked for a couple of years before they realized I really wasn't an asset. That's Durga Das, yeah. And this is Gopal Das. And he was a very sweet man, and he had a hard time with these machines, but he got them working, and we printed Swamiji's books. This one's a little later because it has the path, but this is basically the book Swami had at that time. Every noon we would go outside on the deck and we would meditate. It's all of us out there meditating. And then some of the businesses also included, Bharat started his Sharing Nature Thoughts. Jyotish and Asha went out on the road and did the doom and gloom seminars, telling people about Master's predictions. This is Shiva. And this is the incense and oils business. Is that Bimal? Yes, Bimal and Keshava. And then a picture of the very sweet looking little oils, musk and strawberry and rain. And Keshava and someone else, I don't know who it is, making jewelry. And a picture of jewelry, I think that's Josh, little Josh, Beata's son. And this is Michael Graff, and he made toys for children. Very nice wooden toys. And this, I'm not sure if this was later or not, but we did get a bee business going. It was pretty successful, taking the bees all around California. This is Louise Preston, I think her name is, and she's working in the macrame shop, putting together all the beads and all the jute and the cotton for people to take away. And even the children helped us with this. This is Kumari. Kumari is also known as Girija. She made beautiful things on her loom. And this is the high school that we had. I'm not sure when it started. Somebody must know, 72 or something, 73. And so this is Damaraj on the right. He was the head with his wife Mira of this first high school, and these kids came from all over and came here and they stayed at the meditation retreat. And I think it was a beautiful time. I don't know how long it lasted. But then Nitai came. And Nitai had a dream, and you heard about it this morning. Beautiful. This is not his chicken coop. This is Kalyani's chicken coop. But he had one similar to that, and then we got to build the big school. We called it the Green School. It was obviously painted green, and it was the Green School until it became amber years later when other classrooms were built. And our children went to school here. Oh, that's one of the pictures that's missing. It's a picture of all the children here then. They were here, when my kids were here, there were children in one classroom for ages 5 to 12 years old. And they were in that building. And I don't know how they did it, but Nitai and Maitri taught our children, and they actually did very well after leaving the school. This is one of the first classes that he had. This is Sadhana Devi. This is the next generation of children. Sadhana Devi was Shama, and Jaya also was Shama. Jaya cut his hair. Lakshmi with Gyani. She's now known as Michelle. Swamiji with the up-and-coming classroom. This is Shaman Gyani again when they were about 3 or 4 years old. Saraswati was their teacher. And Swamiji with the children. So sweet. And my daughter and her friend Alicia riding their horses bareback, taking off, leaving us in the dust, going who knows where. Some of the houses, some of the families that lived here at that time, Chandra and Gopal, Gurupad. There he is with his little boy. And that's our wedding. We got married at Swami's Dome. Oh, I'll tell you a little story about that. We had gone to Jyoti Priya. She was a numerologist, and asked her for a date. She gave us December 8th. And then we asked Swami if he would marry us, and he said, sure, when is it? And we told him, and he said, oh, just get married on Friday. So we got married on Friday. And then when he was doing, we did Master's wedding then, that's what we all did, Master's wedding service. And we got to the part about going around the fire 7 times. He says, oh, you don't want to do that. So we never did, but we stayed together. That was our first house that burned down. And these are some of the houses that did burn down. This was Lakshmi's house at the time that the fire happened. And I don't know whose that is, but these were very typical homes here at that time. This is Parvati's house, also burned in the fire. And there's a little house next to it, a tiny little house. And it got saved. That one burned down. This is Swamiji's dome. This is the inside of it. When it was all one big, just the dome. His office is on the left. And this is the living room. And the kitchen was up on top now where the piano is today. The piano is down here. Oh, Parvati told me something today about that cloth over the piano was woven by Kumari, and all the nuns, I think, helped and gave it to Swami as a gift. And then he put it on the piano. So this is the bathroom there, and his bedroom was up in the loft there. The kitchen is behind Swamiji on the raised platform. We often had meetings here. This is the nuns' temple in the winter time. And this is a picture of most of the nuns at that time, Vairagi and Shankari and Arati, Asha. And Seva was away, and so I put Seva in here too. And this is, I think you can by this time guess who all these people are, but this is the monastery. There's 24 people, I believe. And here is the community at that time, 1975, I believe this was taken. And then I just have some random shots of people that helped build the community in these years, 67 to 76. Jyotish, Devi, notice the typewriter, no computers. Seva. Arjuna. Shivani. Vyasa. Nakula. Asha. Kitani. With Ananda milk. Nalini. Sadhana Devi. Jaya. Prakash and Satya. Nandi. Bharat. Beautiful. Vidura. Myself. Swamiji. You see this picture, and it sort of reminds me of the one I was showing you in the beginning when he first came on the land, and now it's 6 years later, 7 years later, and thanking his guru for making it all happen and sending him the people that could help him create the dream that he had for Master. God bless you.